So a few hours ago, when I was doing a Love Chat live stream, someone had asked, why do the dumpers want validation from the dumpies? I mean, think about it. Somebody just broke up with you, and so what does that communicate to you? Well, communicates to most of us when we're first broken up, or, especially when it's our first breakup ever, that we don't matter. Now, of course, that's not true. That's an emotional response. That's a self-limiting belief. Of course we matter. But at the time that it happens, of course, it can feel like we don't matter. So now put these two things together. We feel like we don't matter, and at the same time, we are going through a breakup, and the person who broke up with us and bestowed these feelings upon us seemingly want our validation, want our attention, want to know that they're not a bad person, want to know that they're doing the right thing, and they turn, of all people, to the person they dumped, looking for that validation, looking for that attention, sometimes looking for sex. And that can be deeply confusing because it's like, well, what the hell? You just dumped me and now you're trying to get all of this attention from me? How does that make any sense? Now, I know a lot of you are listening to this video and thinking, well, I'd love any attention from my ex, even negative attention. I'm not getting anything. And as weird as it can seem, you want to count yourself lucky that you're not getting any attention from your ex instead of getting a bunch of breadcrumbs and mixed signals and 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because what that's doing is dangling a carrot right in front of your nose, and that can be really, really damaging to your mental health. The constant questioning, the constant uncertainty. But many of you have heard from the dumper, and you're getting all of those mixed messages and mixed signals, and do you hate me, and I feel so guilty, and oh, why don't we just go out and watch a movie? Oh, can we be friends? All of this validation that they're seeking, and it can seem incredibly unusual because why the hell do you care about my validation? You just dumped me. So the first thing that we have to clear up is, of course, your ex still cares about you. Just because they broke up with you, just because they don't want to be with you at this moment, does not mean that you don't matter to them. And just because they're not romantically in it, doesn't mean your opinion of them somehow is diminished. That's something that you're doing to yourself. Think of this. If you can teleport yourself back to a time when you were younger, and you are angry at mom or dad, a guardian, a teacher, whatever it might be, you are angry at them for something that they've done to you, or you are upset by them in some way. That doesn't mean you suddenly hate them. That doesn't mean you suddenly take their opinion of you and throw it out the window like it doesn't matter. So it's a person that you respect who has done something to you that's upset you, and your opinion of them might be lowered for a time, but they don't suddenly not matter. So if that's the case in school, in parenthood or guardianship, whatever the case may be, why would it be any different in romantic relationships? In fact, the only reason that we think it's any different is because we've been broken up with and we're emotional. So some of you may be put into a situation where your ex is seeking some kind of attention or validation from you, perhaps asking if they've done the right thing. Or maybe it's along a different lines, like they are constantly flaunting a new person in front of you to try and get a reaction out of you. So I might even like to replace the word validation with reaction. Positive, negative, doesn't really matter. A reaction. And why do they do that? Why don't they just come back? Well, because you have to remember, the romantic part of this is broken in their mind. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, I don't know. But in their mind, it's broken. It can't be fixed. Or at least presently, they don't see a solution. But that doesn't mean they suddenly want to get rid of you and not have any interaction with you whatsoever. You have to remember that a relationship, any relationship, romantic or otherwise, is a series of behaviors and habits in our head. Now, if you're in a relationship with somebody, even just a friendship, and you talk to that friend every single day, it's going to be weird to one day no longer communicate with them. It breaks all of the habits and patterns and feedback that you're used to getting. To give an example, I have a group of friends that I traditionally play video games with, maybe 2-3 times a week, sometimes more, sometimes less, but for the most part, it stays within that. If one day I wake up and for 5, 6, 7, all the way up to 10 days, I haven't heard from them, we haven't played games, we haven't interacted, I would feel very unusual. I would begin to suspect is something wrong. Now, why do I do that? Well, I do that because the behavioral pattern changed. And human beings are pretty static. We usually do the same thing again and again and again if we can. Unless we are knowingly rebelling against a pattern of behavior. And an example of this would be like dieting or going to the gym, changing up a pattern so that we can change up ourselves. So now your ex has done something to you that has had an unanticipated side effect. You go into no contact, right? You disappear. And they weren't expecting that. What they were expecting in their mind is, I'm going to break up with this person, and I get to have access to them whenever I want. Why? Well, because, A, they care about me. They're not going to go anywhere just because we broke up, which you are about to correct said behavior of hanging around, being a friend, etc. Not out of hate, but out of self-preservation, right? Out of self-love, out of boundaries, healthy relationships. But on top of that, they're also expecting you to hang around, expecting you to try and win them back. Remember, nobody breaks up with somebody and thinks that that person will disappear forever. And at first, they might even want that, right? You break up with somebody, you're pushing them away. You're repelling them, not attracting them. You're trying to gain space, breathing room, whatever that may be. And when they've had some space, and when some emotions have calmed down and everybody's okay, well, then they're going to want to know that you're okay because they care about you, or they're going to want to gain some sort of benefit from you because they find you to be useful, or they're going to reach out and want you to reinitiate the behavioral patterns that help them feel comfortable, safe, at ease, and you just sort of disappear. And so what do? Well, just like you do when you're trying to win an ex back, you're trying to take your behavior and superimpose it onto them so that they come back to you. They do a similar version of that to you. They might not want you back romantically, but they do want you back in whatever fashion they might need. Perhaps that's a little bit of romance until they can find something else. Perhaps it is completely romantic and they want a reconciliation. Perhaps they miss your presence in their life and they want you back platonically. Perhaps they want a little bit of sex and will just be totally fine doing that. Why they do it is irrelevant, right? Because you are meeting their behaviors with a healthy set of behaviors and you're telling them the truth. And that's one of the things I love about doing this channel is that we can have these discussions and be honest, right? We can say, hey, yeah, I do want to talk to you. I do want you around. But the reality is that it's romantic. I don't want you around platonically. It is as simple as that. I care about you in a romantic fashion, and to hang around you in any other fashion will do nothing other than harm me, and I'm not too keen on being harmed. So I realize I'm trapped between a rock and a hard place, and so I'm just going to choose to go with the option that best serves my future needs and my future potential. And my friends, that's really it. If you notice that your ex is reaching out constantly and trying to get attention or validation from you, and you've stated your boundaries, I'm not interested in this, but I am interested in romantic reconciliation. Here's what that looks like for me. Communicate plainly so that there's no riddles, no guessing. And if they fulfill your requirements and your boundaries, great. Proceed forward. And if not, then you have to remind them, hey, I'm sorry that you're feeling this way, but the breakup was a decision that you made. And I need to respect that decision both for you and for myself, and I'm going to back away. And if you change your mind, give me a call. So now, technically, I'm on vacation. So, obviously I'm pretty bad at vacation, but it's necessary so that I don't get too burned out from time to time. So if you would like coaching, I will be back in about a week. You can go to thelovechat.net/coaching, where I can work with you and help you out with whatever situation you may be dealing with. But maybe you need something a bit more along the lines of actual mental health therapy. And I've partnered with the company BetterHelp, which provides you with your own personal therapist that you can message 24/7. Just go to BetterHelp, HELP.com/Rory, RORY, and you will get 10% off and we can get you hooked up with your own therapist. Make sure to take good care of yourselves because nobody else is going to. And I don't mean that in a negative way. Truly, I don't. I mean that as being someone you are proud to be. Being someone that can pull themselves up out of a crisis and say, you know what? I got this. Be someone you can respect and watch how quickly everyone else respects you. My friends, I sincerely hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and hit like if you did. And let me know what videos you might like to see covered in the future. Until next time.